Welcome, folks, to College Football Time with Avery Miguel. This is week 6 of college football. Avery, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Another great weekend for college football. A lot of great games, a lot of teams that can make an impact this weekend. I'm excited.
The first one we're going to your your hometown, Florida. The game that is marked on my list. My Miami Hurricanes, the U versus Florida State. Classic rivalry. Um, Anytime I think about Miami and FSU, I think about the 80s and the 90s. And hopefully this weekend, with both teams being good teams, hopefully reunites some of that passion from the past. Miami, they're 4.5 favorites in this game. I feel like this will come down to the Seminoles' pass offense versus Miami's pass defense. Deuce Robinson is the Seminoles' top receiver. Miami secondary will keep an eye on him. Carlson Beck, as good as he's been this year, but he needs to be careful because the last 2 games haven't been that impressive. So he needs to tone down the interceptions.
I checked Allstate first, saved hundreds on my car.
So, but this game is at 7:30 on ABC. I want to see Shamar Brown more in action for the Hurricanes. I want to see more of him. But I have Miami winning this game 30-24.
I'm pretty confident with that score too. Miami is heavily favored, 65.3% versus 34.7%. But I think, like with the game against Alabama for Florida State, I think them playing in Tallahassee Saturday night could be the main factor. When the Seminoles play at home, something just, it turns on that extra momentum that they need. It worked out well for that first game of the season. Florida State had, some very impressive wins. Their loss to Virginia last week was heartbreaking, but I think they're going to use that to turn it around. And another thing about this, classic rivalry from the 80s and 90s, usually these rivalry games are played at the end of the year. And like I mentioned before, we're playing this game kind of like smack dab in the middle of the season, which I think not only works, but I think it benefits both teams. Both teams are ranked. Both teams have very good records. Miami is undefeated. Florida State only has that one loss from Virginia. For a friend of mine who is also a University of Miami fan, he has stated that it's going to be tough for him because he has to go to work the next day on Sunday, and this is a primetime game. So he's not sure, how he's going to feel if he has to go to bed and wake up and his Hurricanes lose. But I I think this game is going to be really close. Like you said, got Miami by 4.5. I see this game being very close. I like your score of 30-24, but I'm going to go even closer. I'm going to go I'm going to go with Miami defeating Florida State. I'm going walk-off field goal on this one. I'm going walk-off field goal on this one. I'm going Miami 30, Florida State 27.
Hopefully we have a very exciting game for that one. Next up, Vanderbilt versus Alabama. This one is intriguing. It will be a Saturday, 3:30 on ABC. Alabama are 10.5 favorites. They just finished coming off a huge win against Georgia. I feel that the loss against Florida State did really something to that team that kind of like we saw Notre Dame last year in week 2 after losing to Northern Illinois. So I feel like Alabama is this year's Notre Dame in that aspect that they suffer a tough loss early in the season and they are tenacity mode right now. Vanderbilt, they're a top 20 team in time possession. The good thing about the Commodores is that they can run the ball. I like the quarterback, Diego Pavia. He's been a tremendous story. If you know his story, then you know what I'm talking about. I feel that the key for Vanderbilt to win this game against Alabama will come down to their secondary. Their secondary will need to be big time. David Pavia, as long as he runs and doesn't turn the ball over, you'll be fine. But I feel that Alabama, they're on a mission. Like I said, this is a team. This is one of the three teams in the FBS that hasn't turned the ball over. They have 0 interceptions, which is flat out amazing so far. So, but given all of that, I'm gonna go Alabama 34 to 26.
That's a
I,
very
I'm gonna give
respectful.
I'm gonna give Vanderbilt the respect.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think like I've mentioned with some colleagues, and I think I even mentioned it with you, there are some teams this year that are playing under the radar, if you will. Vanderbilt's one of them. They are ranked, they are currently undefeated, and not a lot of people are talking about them. Now they're being talked about because they're playing Alabama. Of course, Alabama coming off that great win against Georgia. Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year, which to a lot of people was a game that Alabama should have won outright. Now, Alabama, in a way, has the opportunity for a bit of revenge, if you will. Granted, it's not going to be the same team, but like anything, just like your comparison of last year's Notre Dame, Alabama losing to Florida State has now turned this team around a bit. That win against Georgia is catapulting them. They seem more confident. They're not making mistakes. The simple, like the simple mistakes that you kind of see in certain college football games. So I see Alabama to take this opportunity to not only say, and plus they're playing at home, which works to their benefit. They're playing in Tuscaloosa. I think that works to their benefit. Last year they lost at Vanderbilt. I think this is going to again work in their favor. Alabama is favored 74.3 versus Vanderbilt's 25.7. But I agree with you. They're going to respect this Vanderbilt team. And I think any analyst that was kind of sleeping on Vanderbilt or any other fan that was kind of sleeping on Vanderbilt, you need to take notice because remember, when you have these teams, especially during conference play, and you think you can just roll over on them, those are the most dangerous teams. So I think Alabama is going to be very prepared for Vanderbilt. I think they're going to take Vanderbilt very seriously. Yes, Alabama's favored by 11 and a half. I think they're going to give Vanderbilt the respect that's due, and I also think Vanderbilt is going to keep this game really, really close. Even though they want Alabama by 11, I'm going to make it even closer. Over unders like 56, so I'm going to give it a little bit closer. So like the Hurricanes and Seminoles, I'm going to go with the walk-off field goal again on this one too, and I'm going to go Alabama 31, Vanderbilt 28.
Next up, Avery, and I have this one as my upset alert, and that is Texas versus Florida. It can happen, like you say it best, and I love it when you say it. Any given Saturday, anyone can be beaten. Texas, yes, they are one of the best defensive teams in the nation. The Florida Gators, I do believe that coming off of a bye week, they will be more fresh and they have something to prove. And I feel like this game is more of a statement game for them. So the Gators, even though offensively they've struggled this season, quarterback DJ Lagway, he has more interceptions than touchdowns, but I feel like this could be a redemption game for him. And I would love to see him throw the ball more deep in this game against the Longhorns. Show them that there is no fear. I want him to challenge them and their defense. So Arch Manning, you know, like I want to see like a really nice quarterback battle in this game. I don't know. I just want to see that fierce battle between both quarterbacks in this game. Texas, they are 8-2 in the last 10 conference openers. This is a game that we play at 3:30 on ESPN. For some reason, I just don't see Texas blowing them out. I just don't. Because the Gators, they have been hearing all the talks. And I just feel like there's something about we coming off a bye week. It gives you a chance to regroup, go to the drawing board, think this clearly. Obviously, we're hearing about the head coach being on the hot seat. So, I mean, what a way would it be for them to pull off a huge win up against one of the best teams in the nation, Texas Longhorns? I have Texas winning this game 20-17.
And I'm with you there. They have this game being very low. Like the other two games we talked about, you're talking about an over-under of at least 55 points. For this game, the over-under is just 41. So that score is pretty much there. They only have Texas favored by 6.5. So even the experts feel that Florida State can give Texas a run for their money. And Texas, welcome to the SEC. You're playing in the swamp. Probably one of the most intense college football stadiums in college football itself. Right up there with the Horseshoe, right up there with Michigan, even playing in Florida State, at Dole Stadium. I'm like, that's an intense stadium too. So Texas needs to be aware, and they realize that playing Ohio State, that crowd is going to be on them from the moment they touch the football. Usually when that happens, look for teams to make those costly false start penalties. We saw it with Texas Tech and Utah. In the beginning, Texas Tech was making those false start penalties. So look for Texas to have a penalty issue, I think, in the first half. Look for those false start penalties. I think, like anything, Archie Manning needs to show up, be not too conservative with the football and his passes, but no, he needs to trust his brothers to get open, to make plays, to be smart, especially handling the football. For Florida, you're exactly right. They're winless. I'm sorry, they do have one win, but with those 3 straight losses, they coming off a bye week, they need this. They need this. And granted, almost wins don't count, but if they can stay toe to toe with the Longhorns, I think that Florida can still salvage something of their season. So I'm going to say don't count the Gators out, but I think Texas is going to take this game. And I agree with you. It's going to be a low scoring game. It's probably going to be like that Ohio State game that Texas had. So I'm going to go same thing. I'm going to keep it close. I think Florida is going to stay toe to toe with Texas, but I'm going to go just a little bit higher. I'm going to go Texas 25, Florida 20.
That's going to be a fascinating matchup to watch. Next up, and I have this as the underrated game in my opinion. I don't know, I just have it there. And that is Duke versus Cal, 10:30 p.m. on ESPN. Duke, as we know, Avery, they just finished coming off slaughtering Syracuse, which I didn't see it coming, 38-3. Cal, they beat Boston College 28-24. I feel that Duke has the better quarterback in this game. The backfield for both teams, I feel like they're equally neck to neck. Their backfield. Duke's offense is 19th in FBS in yards per game. I do believe that in terms of defense, Cal is better. Duke is 3.5 favorites in this game. Duke is 3-2. Cal is 4-1. This is a tough one, Avery. This is a really tough one for me. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Duke will win it in double overtime. I see that for some reason I feel like this game could go the distance. I see Duke winning in double overtime. Crazy what I'm about to say. Double overtime, 48-42.
Hey, hey, you know what? For what we saw last week, I would not be surprised. Duke had not only was that win against Syracuse last week for Duke impressive, it almost reminded people you forgot that Duke at one point was in the conversation for an ACC title. You know, this is a team that Drake May led before he went to the NFL. You know, so there is a statement for the Duke Blue Devils. And of course, they are more known for their basketball team than their football team. But I've said this before, when you have those schools that are tapping into their other sports, that those other sports have seen success, and it's now working to their other sports like football, in this case for Duke, you need to be careful. Just like the Vanderbilt conversation. Vanderbilt, their ladies basketball team, very good. Their football team now making waves. Duke Blue Devils basketball team, very well known, world renowned, if you will. Their football team is now making themselves well known, especially in the ACC. And like anything, you cannot sleep on this team. And this is not only, you know, kind of your underrated game, you say, it's also a late night game too. This is Saturday night at 10:30. We're playing in California. So those of us, you know, very in-depth football fans, we're going to watch that first game at noon, and we're still going to be up at 2 a.m. checking score for, you know, the Blue Devils and, you know, the Golden Bears of California. So even though Duke is my basketball team, I'm looking to see the football team be very, very good against Cal. They are favored 62% versus Cal's 38%. So I think the overtime, you know, the double overtime may not be too far-fetched. Duke's only favored by 3.5. That over/under is still 56. So I'm not going overtime, but I'm gonna say it could be really darn close. Like we saw even in some pro games as well, just like last week for college football games, overtime game here, overtime game here. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be close that the teams go to overtime. But I'm gonna go with Duke on this one. They have the momentum. It's working in their favor. When you have momentum going for you, keep going for it. So I'm gonna go with Duke 32, Cal 29. I think this is going to be a close overtime, but I think Duke is just going to get it handled.
Okay, I like that. So to wrap this up, Avery, the games that will be played at 12 o'clock. For this particular weekend, nothing intrigues me, I should say. However, there are two games that will be played at 12 p.m. that I hope that they make it interesting. I hope. And those two games that I'm looking at, that is 12 p.m., that I'm really hoping that it's a tight one, is Iowa State versus Cincinnati and Clemson versus UNC. I'm hoping for that one. I know that it may seem like, look how UNC is playing and you expect it to be tight against Clemson. But when it's ACC, when it's an ACC matchup, there's something about it that brings out the best of you, no matter how poorly you're doing. But when it's an ACC matchup against ACC, there's a high possibility that could be a good one. But again, I know there's Wisconsin, Michigan. It doesn't catch my attention.
Wait, I'm not disputing the two games, but why are we not mentioning Kentucky at Georgia?
I was looking at that one too, but
that is a 12 p.m. game. Georgia is ranked 12th. They have got to come back. But like again, Kentucky is that team. If you are not careful, Georgia can just get 2 straight losses if they are not paying attention. But I'm completely there for you. When it comes to Iowa State and Cincinnati, I think Iowa State, same thing. They're running on very good momentum. And I think Cincinnati has to be careful to stay pace with the Cyclones of Iowa State. Clemson, North Carolina, this is a statement game for both teams. This is a statement game for both teams. The Tar Heels playing at home, they need to make sure they are not making mistakes. Clemson, they just need something. They just need something right now. And going to North Carolina to get it done could work for them. I hope that Clemson North Carolina game is so close that we have no choice but to either be on our phone or keep flipping back and forth to check the score. I hope that it's so close that it keeps me on the edge of the seat that I forget about the 3:30 games. So I'm with you there, but remember, Kentucky's playing Georgia. That could be an interesting game as well. Also, like we said before, our service schools. Hey, let's give a shout out. Air Force is playing Navy at 12 o'clock as well. So, let's also give it up for our service schools as well. But yeah, 12
I completely missed that one, but yes, we got to salute.
12 o'clock, we have, there are about 4 games at noon that could make it very interesting going into mid-afternoon, because our mid-afternoon, Penn State is at UCLA. They definitely need a win. That game is at 3:30. They definitely need a win at UCLA, and probably it needs to be a statement win. And I'm talking like blow that team out to be reminded that you still have a very formidable offense that can take care of teams. So, overall, I mean, you have some teams that have the ability to make statements, but you also have teams that are still have that ability to push ahead, to push forward, to remind, the experts, the analysts, the fans like us that, hey, you know what? In the words of Shaquille O'Neal, I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. So this week, even though you have those games under the radar, like last week, look to see some really great games that we did not expect.
Avery, thank you once again. Thank you everyone for tuning in to our week 6 previews and predictions for this week's college football. Like we always say, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully some of these underrated games steal the storylines. But I'm looking forward to it. So Avery, thank you once again. And today's Thursday, but this video I'll publish it tomorrow, probably at noon or 2 p.m. That's going to be the new standard now for the previews side. So hopefully all of you guys enjoy this weekend's of college football, week 6.
Great weekend for college football. Enjoy, everyone.